Hi everyone, Britt Simon here. So let's answer some of your questions. I thought I'd jump online and take some of your questions here live. Happy to take questions on any subject. I know this stuff pretty well now, so I can answer any of your questions. I've been doing this for, just over 11 or 12 years. So I think I probably know the subject pretty well by now. So yeah, any of your questions you'd like to ask, by all means, feel free, and I'll try and get to as many questions as possible. Hello, Queen. How are you doing? Nice to see the Queen. The Queen joining me. I feel very honoured to have royalty. Okay, so let's jump into some questions. So, Joanie says, "How are you? I'm a DV25 winner, and my case number is 10,400. My region is 10,400. Now, your region is not 10,400. Currently in Uzbekistan. In your opinion, what are my chances? Is Uzbekistan difficult? Not bad chances. Cutoff for Uzbekistan is several thousand more than your number. It's not particularly difficult for you to get current. I think you'll be okay. Good luck. Happy New Year, says Stefan. Case number 21,000 from Paris Embassy. Looks safe. Yeah, I mean, numerically safe, and safe unless Trump does something stupid. Yes, yeah, pretty safe. Good luck. Watching love from Ghana. Get the hell out of Ghana, Dornu, is it? You need to get out of Ghana, right? I hope you understand how badly Ghana is doing. So if you're a DV25 winner, you need to get out of Ghana. Hi, Joe. How you doing? Enjoying the snow here, but the cold is damn not good. Yep, I think I may have mentioned that, Joe. Cold weather here it's really cold here, right? There's a reason people freeze to death here. Yog says, I'm from Nepal. My case number is 10,600. How much chances do I have to get to ANL? Okay, here's how you work that out. I believe that Nepal numbers cut off at about 11,500, right? So you're at 10,600. You're above 90 percentile in your country. There are slightly too many selectees, probably more than the quota would allow, but some of them won't continue and a few will be refused, right? So you should be okay, but you're right on the cusp there. You could see a cutoff around about your number from 10,500, maybe up to 11,000 or so, something in that range. There could well be a cutoff for Nepal, but we'll have to wait and see how things go. Okay. Hope there's no calls for alarm that AF29K isn't processed yet. No calls at all for alarm at that number range. You're fine. Algeria, case number 38.7. Can I get an interview or not? And if yes, when will it be? Yes, you can get an interview. When will it be? Well, I don't want to get into exact predictions, but if you think logically from where we're at, maybe 3 or 4 months from now, you get a 2NL, roughly speaking about that. How's Doha with AF 50,000? I've shown many times how to look at the performance of individual embassies. So I think by now you should be able to look at your own embassy on Zarthisius's site and figure out what they're doing. Okay, I have the same data as you do. So do take a look and tell me what you think about their performance. That would be good. Good to see you again. Can a person become stage 3 before VB? Yes, they should. Stage 3 means the same as stage 2. They both mean that your DS260 is processed. And so, yes, absolutely, they should be processing. They don't wait until the visa bulletin to process your case. Your case should be in stage 3 or 2 before the visa bulletin is published that makes your number current, right? So, yes, that's very normal. Then as soon as your case number becomes current, then they would move you into stage 4, which is the AV step, and that's where you added to an AVQ or scheduled for an interview. Okay. In Uzbekistan, the process moves slowly. No, it doesn't really. But you're just thinking like that, really. Joanie, it's not true. I mean, Uzbekistan has for years done very well from the DV lottery. So no, not really true that it goes slowly there. I'm from London. I did a national diploma in sixth form. Is that valid for education? National diploma. I'm not sure what the national the national diploma is. Queen, I think you've come on before, right? And I suspect that you're not British. I'm guessing you're someone who's, you've come to London to study. I don't know what the national diploma is. Is it equivalent to A levels? A levels is the standard you would need. So the question for me is whether the national diploma is high enough level to then get you into university. That's really the key test. The education requirement that is discussed in DV Lottery is basically the point at which you can enter a university. So with a national diploma and nothing else, no other A levels or anything else, can you get into university in the UK? I don't know. It's been some years since I was in the UK education system. So let me know. Kofi, All Odds was struck against me in ACRA last year, but everything worked out very well in the end. Yeah, you got through at the last minute, right? So I'm glad you got through. Thank goodness for that. The one thing that Ghana did reasonably well was they took 95 cases in the last month. That was important, right? If they hadn't done that, it would have been even worse. Donu, what can the US government do to keep the Ghanaian embassy in check? Nothing is the answer. Nothing at all. You might be surprised, but repeatedly in various lawsuits against the government has held firm, the Department of State has held firm in the position that it is entirely up to the local embassy to make decisions about how many cases they process in general and which cases they process over others. And they are entirely unwilling and unable, it seems, to do anything about an individual embassy who chooses to underperform. That is entirely up to the ACRA embassy. So don't expect anybody from the government, Department of State, to do anything about what we see as bad behavior at ACRA embassy. It won't happen. It's as simple as that. Joe again, you did a great job in helping lots of TV winners. Thanks for the journey since 2022 to last year, adapting to this cold temperatures here. Yeah, why did you go somewhere cold, Joe? I don't get it. Tashi says, what happens when I get married to a US citizen after winning the DV lottery? Will I be disqualified? No. Will you be disqualified from what? Disqualified from marrying? Disqualified from the DV lottery? Neither of those things is true, right? You are entitled to marry a citizen. If you fall in love and it's a genuine marriage, then go ahead and marry the US citizen. By marrying the US citizen, you have an alternative path to getting a green card, but you might want to continue your DV lottery journey since that is probably going to be faster, right? So it's entirely up to you how you play that. You could do engagement visas, fiance visas for an American citizen. That's another fast way to get here, and then you have the ability to adjust status later on. But no, you're not disqualified for marrying a US citizen. EU 27K, when can it get current? Well, I published videos the other day on each of the regions. I didn't do South America, mainly because I don't have many South American watchers, but I'll probably put out a South America video. But each one of the videos takes me 2 or 3 hours of analysis and then recording the video. And so that's why they were posted, one day at a time, because that's the amount of time I had. It takes a little while. I posted for Europe, and 27K is the very beginning of what I see as the danger zone for Europe. But that means that it's the beginning of, where the numbers would stop, and the numbers will stop at the end of the year, right? So it's fairly much, if you've seen that video, it's kind of a redundant question to ask me, when will it be? the when will it be is right at the end of the year. It's pretty obvious, right? And either my estimation is correct, and you'll be the last people to interview will be in that number range, or perhaps it'll be a month off and it'll be in August, right? So it's either August or September. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Okay. So Zachariah Ali says, hope you're doing well. DV25, 28K EU, I presume. I have filled out the 260 form and planning to get married in November. November? What? Okay. Am I able to add my my to-be wife to the program? No, because your DV25 process will be over and done, like has to be done by September 30th. That's the end of the fiscal year. So you have decided to marry later. That means that you, unless you bring the marriage forward, which is frankly what my advice would have been, you can't include your to-be wife in the program. You can't include a fiance. You have to get married. It has to be a legal marriage. So no, you've chosen very bad timing, but that was entirely your choice. And there is still time to make a different choice. It's up to you. But you know, but no, if with the timing you're talking about here, you've messed it up. Don't know why you did that, but there you go. I just want to know the meaning of MVC and how long it takes for your case to be in MVC. Okay, all cases have the initial starting status of at NVC. It's like the go position on the Monopoly board. It doesn't mean a damn thing. It means you haven't been scheduled yet. So all cases at some point haven't been scheduled yet, right? So there is no real meaning of MVC other than to say your case is not scheduled yet. That's all it means, right? How long will it take? Well, it depends on your case number. It depends on your case number. It depends on how long your DS-260 is taking to be processed. Depends on your embassy. So, you know, it takes, there's a lot to it. So there you go. Hi, Britt, love from Nairobi. That's nice, Dante. Wagyu to, hey, how are you doing? Bassam, I have been admitted on to an entry. Any way to check the status of the green card issuance and SSN? The green card, so the SSN is generally delivered to you if you asked for it in the DS-260. It's generally delivered in about 2 to 3 weeks after you arrive, right? That's a quite separate process from the green card. The green card can take between, let's say, I mean, in some cases people receive it within a month, but generally it's 2, 3, or even up to 4 months before you get your green card. And the government website, if you phone USCIS, they will tell you not even to check until 90 days have passed. So don't stress about it. You don't need a green card. You already have a visa in your passport that shows your status, and that visa is good enough to go get a job, to open bank accounts and all sorts of things, right? What is more important is the social security number, and you'll have that generally within 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't have your SSN within 3 weeks, then you go to the Social Security Office, SSA, and you sort things out there. And you have to be very persistent with the SSA staff. They are bloody awful. They will do anything to just be a pain in the ass, basically. They will tell you that you can't apply, that, they'll do anything they can to get you to go away and come back another day. I don't know why they do it. It's some sort of game they play. They are frustrated DMV employees. If you're American, you'd understand the humor in that joke. But anyway, so the SSN is what you need, not the green card. People get very worked up about the green card. When's it going to arrive? When's it going to arrive? It doesn't matter. Once I received my green card, I put it in my wallet. I don't think I took it out until about 5 years later when I applied for citizenship and had to hand it in. It's completely useless. Nobody ever asks you for it. It's a complete waste of time. But what's important is your status, which is demonstrated by the visa you have in your passport already. Okay. Derek, thanks for the information. When January 2NL sending will be started? Every month. Okay, so the cadence of the program is this, and this is the same every single month, and this has been the same for the 12 years or so that I've been talking about it. So I think it's pretty reliable, right? Every month between the 8th and the 15th, the visa bulletin is published, and every month just after the visa bulletin is published, the 2NL start, okay? And they go on until the end of the month. That's it. I don't know why people still ask me this question, because it's the same process every single month. But there you go. That's it. So the visa bulletin between the 8th and the 15th. And yes, it's been outside of those parameters sometimes, but that's quite rare. It's usually between the 8th and the 15th. Monday will be the 13th. So it'll either be on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. My guess is it'll probably be Monday, actually. And then the 2NLs will start pretty quickly after that. Usually the same day or the next day, we see the first few 2NLs. And funnily enough, they go by embassy alphabetical order. So Addis Ababa, ACRA, if they sent any, but Addis Ababa will be one of the first embassies sent. Ankara sometimes gets those early as well, based on their alphabetic order. And then they go through the whole range until the end of the month. Okay, that's what they do every single month. Simon, AF 30K, Ethiopia. I hope I'm safe. What do you think? I think you're safe. Okay, so Ethiopia have come out of the gate. They have started the year much faster than they have over the last few years. I believe, therefore, that they're going to continue that sort of fast pace. So until I see evidence that they have discontinued that fast pace, I'm going to assume that they are going to work well this year. And based on that, you should be fine. You'll probably be current, let's say, in a month or 2 months. And I think you'll probably find that you'll be interviewed pretty quickly after that. Okay. Do you think President Trump could interfere with DV25? Right. Let's talk about this again. I've seen some discussion in some Telegram channels that he could freeze the DV lottery program. That is not true. Okay, the Congress have passed a law saying that the DV lottery program will take place. Right, so he's not a king. He can't just wave a magic wand and say, "Oh no, I don't want to take account of that law anymore." Right. What he can do, though, is he can throw out various executive orders that deal with the management of day-to-day stuff in the government, right? So what he could do is he can put out their bans, not necessarily directed directly at DV lottery, but in general in immigration. He could do some sort of travel ban. He would need a reason to do that, but frankly, Iran in particular have given him plenty of reason to do that, right? So he could do something based around security and terrorism concerns. And I think that there's probably a 50-50 chance that he does some sort of action like a travel ban against some group of countries. But I don't think it'll be very broad in nature, to be honest. That's my perspective. I could be wrong. So that's the travel ban possibility. He could also make processing slower. He could insist or tell or instruct the Department of State to implement greater security or background checking. So the government has said you've got to do this DV lottery program every year and you've got to give away 50 or 55,000 visas. That's a part of law. He can't change that. But he can say, yeah, we're going to try and do that, but we're going to spend 2 years checking everybody's background checking. And if that means that some of those DV lottery people lose out, then so be it, right? He can do that, right? So he can't just cancel the program through an executive order, but he can make life more difficult. And do I think he's going to do that? I think on balance, I'm not convinced he's going to do very much, to be honest. I think he might have a travel ban. I don't think he's going to do very much from a security point of view. That's just my personal opinion, which I've sort of softened on a little bit because I haven't heard him talking about those things, right? He's not been as vocal as he was a few years ago in 2017. He said he was going to try and ban the DV lottery program. He didn't. He couldn't. He didn't have a clue how he was going to do that. I don't think he even understood how government works. But that's what he said he was going to do. But he says he's going to do a lot of things. He said he's going to buy Greenland. He said he's going to invade Panama, basically. He's going to buy Canada. I mean, this man is. I mean, talk about screw loose. Like, he says a lot of stupid things, and does a small percentage of what he says he's going to do. So, but he hasn't even been saying he's going to be trying to stop the DV program in any way. So, we'll see. Vafi. Hi, sir. My family get the visa in August 25. Can they enter USA in January, February 26, or they have to enter before 30th September? Oh, okay. This whole question. When you get the visa, no matter when you get the visa, there is a period of time, a validity period of the visa, which is normally 6 months after the medical date, right? There are people who will go for interview in some years on September the 30th, and they still get their 6 month validity. Now, if they had their medical in, let's say, mid-September, it may not be a full 6 months after the end of 30th of September, but it's a full 6 months after the end of the medical, right? That's what it is. It isn't, you don't have to sort of rush to get to America before the September 30th deadline, right? I'm surprised this question comes up every year. I have to wonder at it. It's like, do they really think that, do people really think that people who go through an interview on the 29th or 30th of September have to drop everything and rush from the embassy with their printed visa, which, how does that get printed when they only go for an interview like on that day? It can be printed in October. What do people think? Like, I'm very confused why this question keeps getting asked, to be honest, but it does every year. You're not unusual, Vafi. Lots of people ask this question. I just don't know why people don't think through the process and realize, hang on, that would be dopey. That can't be possible. If I go for an interview on September 30th, I'm probably not even going to have the visa printed on that day, right? It's probably going to be October 2nd or 3rd or something before I got the visa. What would be the point if I couldn't use it? So, yeah, I don't know why that question maintains, but it does. Happy New Year, says Malumbe. I'm DV selected AF 48. Good. Hello, sir. Case number 60K. Any hope for me from AF? I just posted a complete explanation on what I think is important in the Africa region. I don't like answering this sort of instant question with an instant, simple answer when I've spent an hour explaining all of the thoughts and recording that on video for you and explaining what things will change and what factors will be a part of this. It's nuanced, right? And it's complex, and it takes a bit of explaining. I spent an hour of my time to educate, all of you about that, to record a video that is almost an hour long. I don't want to give a 1 second answer, which you'll misunderstand and misinterpret. And then in a few months' time, you say, oh, that Simon was wrong. Well, no, you asked me a question. You didn't watch the bloody video, and now you're confused about the answer. So yeah, watch the video. Joanie, I always wait you. Thanks for you reply. You're very welcome, Joanie. What's the largest case number in Africa last year issued a visa? Do you know? 122,500 and something. Completely pointless question, though. It's got nothing to do with this year. We don't even have a case number, selectee case number at that range. The highest case numbers this year are way lower than that, right? So, oh, yeah, already answered that one. Malang. Greetings. I want to inquire if there could be any implications in the future during a citizen process for a DV winner seeking for free Medicare from the US government. Okay. Under the Trump administration first time, they introduced a public charge rule. It was quickly struck down by legal action. this is an example of what I was saying earlier. Trump can try and implement some change, but that can be quickly sort of taken down through legal action where someone says, well, that's not lawful. Your order is not lawful, Mr. President. Is unconstitutional or whatever, right? And in this case, there was a process that made it more complicated to get citizenship if you had taken public charge type support. Now, therefore, it's a bit tricky to say what will be a problem for a future citizen when we're about to start a Trump administration for 4 years, right? I don't know what will change in the future. So you've got to be a bit careful. But what I would also say is this. It is pretty dopey, disrespectful, lazy, unwise to come to America and immediately start, sort of taking from things you haven't paid into, right? You were supposed to come to America with a plan to support yourself. And you should do that. You should pay your own way. You should pay for insurance and that sort of thing. Now, if you go through the healthcare.gov website, if you've got a low income, you can get discounts on your insurance. There is no need for you to try and use a system of free stuff that you haven't contributed to when there is a system that's already in place for you to get those same things at reduced price, right? So come with a plan, get your ass off the couch and stop watching TV and get one job or two jobs or whatever it takes for you to actually make a living, and realize that America is a great place if you're prepared to work hard, but if you're looking for free handouts, Europe is better, right? That's quite simply the case. And so, don't disrespect the country by coming with the wrong idea. If you think that this is a place to come to get lots of free handouts, I'm sorry, you've come to the wrong place. You should really have gone to Europe, right? So there you go, a two-part answer. Number one, I don't know what the future will bring, and number two, don't do that, right? That's my answer. Karen, how far is ACRA from me? It's about 5,000 miles, I think, from me. Any hope from us? My case number is about 2K. I see what you mean, how far. I don't know what ACRA is going to do. So there has been 5 months of scheduling so far. And in the information for ACRA, there is only one case scheduled. And because of the number range for that one case, I know that case didn't come through KCC in the normal way. What happened was that case was scheduled somewhere else and then moved to ACRA Embassy. So what that tells me is, for these 5 months of scheduling that we've had, ACRA consistently said to KCC, we've got no capacity to take not even one case, completely ignoring all of the DV winners. Now, can they continue that? Well, legally they can. I hope they don't, but it's a possibility. So when you ask, your case number is around 2K, you obviously should be able to get an interview. But if ACRA don't even start taking cases, then I can't be sure that you're going to be okay. If they start taking at least 20 or 30 cases a month, as they have in the last couple of years, then you would be okay. Then you could feel a little bit more relaxed. But whilst they haven't even started, I don't know. I think everyone's at risk at any number in ACRA, and I don't trust ACRA at all at this point. And I'm hoping that they will change their minds, and I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know for a fact that they will. Okay? So we'll see. Look at this. How English am I? That's my little phone box, right? Hello, Britt. How does DV applicant get the SSN if arrived already at in the USA? Okay, when you fill out your DS-260, there's a question on there, 2 questions actually, that relate to whether you need the government as part of the immigration process to send an application for your SSN. If you did that, if you selected that option in the DS-260, then your SSN is supposed to just arrive automatically at the address that you have in the DS260. That's what's supposed to happen. Sometimes that process goes wrong, and sometimes people select the option not to have that happen automatically. In that case, you then have to go to the Social Security office yourself. You may want to go onto ssa.gov, which is the website for that wonderful organization, and then you get to go and spend a day usually sitting and waiting for a bunch of people to take care of you and look after your case when actually they're not very keen to do that, to be very honest. So that's how you get your SSN. You know, depending on whether you've waited or not 2 or 3 weeks, like you should always wait a week or two, you know, to see if they've sent it to you, if that's what you asked for in the DS260. Abel, proud to heard from you. Oh, that's nice. Thanks for your guidance. Please predict for me case number 15XX. When am I getting to ANL Nairobi by this week? They had interview 14/7. Okay, so case numbers go between 1 and 87,000, right? You're asking me to make a guess when, you know, when the numbers increase by 1,100, a very, very small part of that 87,000, right? Very, very small part. So it seems to me a fairly good assumption, I would say, that you would probably be in the next batch of 2NLs, assuming your DS260 is processed, right? But I don't know, did you really need to ask me that question? It seems like you could have figured that out, to be honest, but there you go. Any new on Liberia embassy? I don't know, I haven't checked. Let's have a quick look. So Theseus. Let's bring that across. Oops. Okay. So for the people that ask me these sort of questions, really what I want you to do is to actually sort of take control of your own life. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's go to DV25. Look at that menu back, right? And then we're going to go in here and we're going to say, okay, Liberia. What's Liberia doing? Was Liberia, right? Yeah. So far, they've taken 108 cases, right? And those cases have taken them up to nearly 18,000 or so, or just over 18. No, just over 16,000. And cases are current up to 22,500, right? So, but you can see there's a lot of green here, not very much issued. That tells me that they did quite a few of those cases, the 108, probably for February and January. And I would expect to see a fairly decent number of interviews, you know, coming on here next month, right? So they're a little bit backlogged at the moment, but not badly. And they seem to be taking something in the range of about, you know, 12 to 15 cases per 2,000, right? So you could figure out, okay, well, they've done 20 something a month, 21 cases per month on average. Let's see what they start taking from this next month onwards. Hopefully they'll be able to wipe out any backlog they've got, right? If they took 40 or 50 cases in 1 month, they would be able to move up and catch up with the backlog, right? So yeah, they're in pretty good shape. Okay. Thanks, Brent. On my road to US-ism, DV24 winner in Ohio, another cold place. I would like to ask your advice to someone who wants to join the army. Thanks for all your help. I know a gentleman called Pete from Australia who is very, very vocal about people that join the army. There are certain routes, for example, if you join the army, you can get a very fast citizenship process, like less than 1 year to become a citizen after entering the country as a DV lottery winner. So that's kind of interesting, particularly if you are interested in bringing your parents later. So the normal process is you come as a DV lottery winner, You live here for 5 years. After 5 years, you can become a citizen. Once you're a citizen, you can sponsor your parents for a green card, and it's almost instant. It's within a few months you would get a green card for them. So it's a nice way to bring your parents, right? Now, that's one aspect of being in the military that's kind of useful. The other aspect of being in the military is that it's a very good career path. For a lot of people, there are a lot of jobs in the military, right? Lots of different jobs. It's not all about, getting a rifle and going out and shooting people. There's lots of jobs that, you might find interesting, and they are suitable for your transfer back to civilian life later. So if you go into the army, you don't get a ton of money, but you're looked after, you get medical benefits, and you're highly respected in the community. And forever, you would be considered a veteran. And so you get certain benefits after you come out of the army, again, forever. You get veterans help, etc. There are grants given to people coming out of the army to help them go through further education. There's lots of things. There's lots and lots of benefits to going into the military. We have a massive military. There's about 1 million people in the armed forces in America. Massive, stupidly massive military. Our military, I once heard a thing that our military was bigger than it's the biggest army in the world, and it's bigger than the next 25 countries or something combined, and 24 out of 25 of those countries are our allies anyway, right? So I mean, it's completely stupid size, incredibly powerful army with lots of really leading edge, cutting edge technology available to some. And when we go into battle, we don't lose that often, right? So it's a good military. Military is a good career option for a lot of people. Are you suited to being in the military? Can you take that sort of discipline and so on? Is that how you want to live your life? Those are the sort of questions you need to ask yourself. But yeah, there's a lot of pros, not many cons. I didn't do it, not in the UK, not in America. Obviously, I came very late in life to America. But if I was talking to a young person right now, I would say, yeah, military is a good career, as is law enforcement, as is firefighters, working for your local government in various ways. Lots of good careers there for various reasons, right? So good luck with that anyway. Lobos. Hi, Simon. Hope you're good. I'm 25 winner from Ghana. My case number is AF456. Oh, my God. I mean, it's a really low number, right? What's the main problem in Ghana embassy? Should I switch to a different embassy? Please, honestly, need your... Okay. I've been saying for months, get the hell out of ACRA. And obviously, with a number as low as yours, you probably didn't think you had any problems. But right now, it's risky even at your case number in ACRA. I think they'll probably start to interview a few people, in which case you'll be very early in that group. Maybe you'll be okay. But I'm worried about ACRA, I have to say. I'm very worried about ACRA. What's the problem? I don't know. They're a piece of crap. They have made a decision to ignore people who've won a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I personally think that's a disgusting way to behave. And if I met someone from the ACRA embassy at any level, including the ambassador, I would tell them exactly that. It's a completely disgusting, unforgivable way to behave. And they should be held accountable for it. There is no justification for it. I don't care about any justification. They need to do something. So, it's completely inappropriate and wrong and unfair. And if there was a way to sue them, I would sue them in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, we can't stop them. So there you go. Waguti says, patiently waiting, late fiscal year. If I have a chance, Nairobi, Kenya. Good luck. You should be okay. Any chance for interview in Montreal? AF64K. Your number's a little risky. you might have a possibility, right? Harry, hi from the UK. Now, Harry, tell me, were you born in the UK? Are you a UK DV lottery winner for DV25? I'm trying to find some because according to the government, we don't have any, and I don't think that's true. I think we've got some UK winners. Could you and Queen let me know? So, Harry, you think I'm a saint for answering some of these questions every week? Yeah, I get a bit frustrated with some of them, but there you go. As usual, Ghana is a pain in everyone's ass. Yes, it is. What advice can you give a new migrant living in Texas? Oh, jeez. I nearly said something I really shouldn't say. Well, don't live in the country in Texas, right? Texas is an amazing state in many ways, right? But it has a cowboy history. It has a redneck history. It has a right-wing political history. So it's a really good place to live in the big cities like Austin, Houston, Dallas to an extent. But if you get outside of that, in some of the sort of the country areas of Texas, it's like going back in time. And they didn't get the message, for diversity, for example. And so if you happen to be of, dark skin color and you're in some rural part of Texas, it's not great. That's not so great. If you're white skinned, lovely. It's so ridiculous that we have to talk about that in 2025, for goodness sake. But America is still a country with rampant racism in some places. But it's much better in big cities. And there's cities like Austin, Texas, for example, which is a technology hub now, where there's a lot of diversity and it's a cool city. I mean, I like Austin a lot. Houston's good. And there's, maybe you like big trucks and big hats. That's okay. Okay. That is Che says, I'm 2025 79XXX. Oh, that's high. Currently in UAE, what's your take about Abu Dhabi Embassy? And based on your statistics, what are my chances? Your chances are very low because you're at 79,000. You are at the back of a very, very long line of people. There's over 55,000, nearly 55,900 people, or just over that, selected, and there's only 23,000 visas available. And so of the 55,000 people, about 54,000 or 53,000 of them are in front of you in a line, and they're all getting married and having babies, and all of those babies and new spouses are all getting in front of you in line as well. And there's only 23,600 visas available. So you've got a problem. Quite frankly, you have a problem. And it's not to do with Abu Dhabi. It's to do with your number. Okay? Good luck is all I can say. Good luck. I hope it works out for you. Is Andrew's DreamWorks? Move my DV case to Togo, 26K. When do I think? Okay, so 26K may go current next month. I don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. Is Andrew's DreamWorks then spammed his question dozens of times? Thank you for that, Andrew. I don't particularly like it, but there you go. How winners are selected? Completely randomly. So everybody enters the lottery in October or November of each year. They get millions of entries, quite literally millions of entries. They separate those entries out into regions, and then they jumble up all the entries in a random manner, with taking absolutely no interest at all in any of the photos or the qualifications of the people or the locations or whether they're married or whether they have kids. None of that is considered. It's just randomly jumbled up, right? And then every case is numbered. Every entry is numbered, and the top 100,000 numbers or so then go to the next phase, which knocks some of those people out, right? So in DV25 in Africa, for example, there was a jumbling. There was about 5 million entries. 87,000 of the first entries were chosen numerically, And then about 50,000 of those entries were disqualified before they even announced the results, leaving us with about 33,000 entries. And on those 33,000 entries, we've got almost 56,000 people, because an entry includes the derivatives, the spouse and the children for that entry. That's how it works in a nutshell, right? Completely random. Some people don't believe me, but I think it's I think it's obvious that it works that way, and I've been saying it for years. Okay, so Queen, very important point here. You're British born, and I think it's equivalent. It's equivalent. Oh, the national diploma we're talking about. Really? That's equivalent. Okay, equivalent to A levels. I'll take your point on that. If it is, if you could get into any British university, then it's enough, Queen. Okay. It's unusual that someone from Britain calls themselves Queen, because we have one, right? So that's interesting. But so you're a British-born person, and you've won the lottery as a UK person. So that's at least one, right? I'm hoping to hear from, who's our other friend, Harry Hamilton. I want to hear from Harry Hamilton as well, because now it's getting under my skin. Now I know we've got winners from the UK. I've heard from people before, but the government haven't announced that in their numbers, so it's really interesting. I'll show you what I mean about that. Visa bulletin. Okay, let me show you this as well. Why I'm saying the government haven't announced that, right? So if we look at the visa bulletin for excuse me, for September 24, it has a list of all the winners for all the region, right? So there's Africa, there's all the winners for the region. In Europe, here's all the winners for all the regions, right? Now, United Kingdom could either be here, or it could be Great Britain, which would be up here, right? Or it could be, they might say Britain. There's various things they can do. What they've done though is they've listed all the winners, and they didn't list any winners for the UK, which I think is incorrect. I believe it's incorrect, which means that this number, where is it? 131.60 there, that number, which means that number is wrong. Okay, so it's come up a few times, and people have said to me, yeah, but you sure you got any winners from the UK who were charged to the UK because they were born in the UK and they are the principal winners, right? So that's really what I'm trying to find. It's a bit of a needle in a haystack, but I think, Queen, you may be our first, right? If you are the principal winner and you're chargeable to the UK, then you are that mythical example, right? So we'll see. We'll see whether that's the case, right? And Harry will tell us in the moment as well, I'm sure. Abu Dhabi 37K should be okay. What happens when you and your wife win the DV lottery? Which case number should they use? Will they fill 2 DS260s? This happens every year. We get a few people like this. Generally speaking, you consider a few things, right? Firstly, each winner, the principal winner, has to be able to pass the requirements, right? The correct education, has to have filled in the or work experience, has to have filled in the form correctly, mustn't have lied in the process, you shouldn't have lied in previous applications and previous non-immigrant visa applications, that sort of thing. But assuming both of you pass that sort of initial review, then you would say, okay, which number is better? I've got a very low case number, yours is very high. We'll go with my case number. We'll just fill that in with my case number. If both of you are equally likely to be approved, then just go with the lowest case number, right? If there's a big difference. What some people do is they fill in both DS260s, and they have a complete mirrored set of DS260s. So the winner of let's say the husband fills out his DS260, including his spouse, with a DS260 for that application and the kids, and then the wife also fills out a separate DS-260 for her number, including her husband and him filling another DS-260, and again, all the kids and everything else. You can do that too. You don't have to pick and choose between one number or the other, right? It's just generally you would go for the first one that that is going to be interviewed, right? So, and once you've got an interview for the primary applicant, then you all attend that that interview anyway. So, so yeah, you can do it any way you want. Hi, my case number is 26K from Africa. My embassy is at today 18/4. Blah blah blah. Okay, you'll probably be interviewed in a month or 2 months, right? Well, you'll get a 2NL in a month or 2 months. We'll have to wait and see what the visa bulletin does in this next month, right? But you don't need to worry, you'll be fine. Can you apply to work as a policeman with a green card by lottery? It varies. Now, I'm not a careers counselor or expert, but I have looked into this in the past, and whether a particular police department accepts green card holders before they're citizens or not varies all over the country. Sometimes also you might find in most areas there's sheriffs and there's police, right? And they're both basically law enforcement, LEO as they call them here, LEO, law enforcement officers. They're LEO jobs. Some sheriff's departments might say you can be a green card holder and get a job with them. Others might. Others might say no. Same with police departments, right? So you have to check on a case-by-case basis. They normally make that requirement very clear in each of the locations, and some states have an opinion about that as well. But basically, you can check for that yourself. Okay, check the city where you want to be employed, or check the sheriff's department where you want to be employed. Okay. Can my wife apply as main applicant like myself if our both eligibility is based on my mother's place of birth? No, she is her mother-in-law. Yeah, I got that because she's anyway. I'm reasonably intelligent, so I do understand these things like mother-in-law. You know, I generally put those things together pretty quickly. I'm pretty slick. Can you both apply? Yeah, basically, here's the situation. Let's say you were born in China, but your wife was born in France, right? You can both apply charging to France in that situation, right? China is ineligible, but you can charge to your spouse's country of birth. When you go through the process, you're either one of you can get selected, and if you were to be selected and you're Chinese by birth, but you're charging to her country of birth, then yeah, it's fine. You can go ahead and do the interview. That's basically your question, isn't it? So yeah, you can do that. Now, there is a slight nuance where you do that. The government rules say that you will both be treated as a principal applicant, right? And that you both have to enter the USA at the same time. So there is, once you've received your visas, for most people, the derivatives can travel with the principal applicant or after the principal applicant. The derivative cannot enter the USA until the principal applicant, the winner, has entered the USA and activated their status, right? With the situation you're describing, where you've charged to your spouse's country of birth, or she has charged your country of birth, you both have to enter the USA together. You can't, you have to enter together. And there is also a possibility that they will ask both of you to prove that you are qualified by education or work experience for the lottery. They will treat you like you're both principal applicants, right? There's a bit of ambiguity there on the education point, but there is no ambiguity on the entering the country together. You have to do that if you charge to the other country. Okay. How much cases do you consider good for the performance of the embassy? Completely varies by embassy. It's to do with how much work they've got to do. So let's say, country A has 200 selectees for the whole number range and sees almost no one else from any other country, then if they're taking 10 people a month, that's more than enough, right? That's a very good number, right? Because not everybody is going to get current and so and will have applied. On the other hand, a very big embassy like Cairo, they need to be taking hundreds of cases per month in order to cope with what they're doing, because Cairo sees most of the Egyptian selectees. There's 5,500 selectees from Egypt, and it is also the home embassy for the Sudanese applicants, and there's 5,500 of those. So Cairo embassy is the home embassy for 11,000 people. So it damn well better take a lot of cases each month, right? And it is right now the leading number of issuances have come from Cairo embassy. They are performing as they should do. So the performance, whether it's good or bad, is not necessarily just a simple number. It's a number compared to what they've got to do. And one of the things that you can do is, as I showed you a few moments ago, is check whether they are backlogged or not. That's a big clue as to how they're doing. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What percentage of UK applicants will get picked in your opinion for DV26? Okay, the chance of selection for EU and Africa and Asia is roughly, in most years it varies. I mean, it varies year to year, right? Some years it's very low chance of selection, but a very high chance that you'll go through. In other years, there's a higher chance of selection, but they over-select, and therefore there's a lower chance you'll get through. In general, I tend to quote the 1% number of selectees, which means that you'll be selected one time in every 100 years of entering. Okay, it's just a lottery. It's not a plan. And they take about 1% of the region. And that number is the same for all the region. It doesn't matter which country it is. There is a bit of a nuance to that statement, but the chance of selection is supposed to be identical for everybody in that region. Supposed to be. It's actually not, but that's another topic. Okay. All right. Khalid says, regarding documentation, if I've got an interview in October 25, can you utilize documents issued in January 25 since they don't mention anything related to doc validity except the police certificate? Yes, because they don't mention the document validity, you are able to use those things. My birth certificate, when I went for interview, was 50 years old, right? Because I was 50 years old. And so, you can use very old certificates and documents, etc., and that's fine. It's appropriate. It depends on what the document is. There is a validity on police certificates that is up to 2 years. Many people get confused about that because on the police certificates, it will say valid for 3 months or whatever. But for immigration purposes, the US government will accept police certificates up to 2 years old. I generally think that's too old. I would not be comfortable with a police certificate of less than 1 year if you're currently visiting that country or in that country. If it's a country you were in 10 years ago and you happen to have got a police certificate from there 2 years ago, that's fine. You haven't been back there, there's no need to get a renewed certificate, right? But yeah, January 25 to October 25, that's fine. Generally, for most documents, that's fine. Okay, depends on the rules of the country. Hi, Britt, I'm AF34K. When will I get to ANL? With an unlocked DS260 in August. Unlocking doesn't matter. The question is, when will your case number become current? And for that, might be 2 months, might be 3 months. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Hi, Simon. Recently, we have political instability in Georgia. One senator introduced our government non-recognition act. How will it affect embassy work in Georgia? I don't know. It depends on diplomatic relations between America and Georgia. So I don't know. I don't follow things that closely until they've actually happened. Okay. Lidu, my Brit case number is AF50K. Now I'm in London. Good for you. Please help me on DV lottery. That was your chance. You asked a question. I could have helped you, but you didn't say anything. Peter says, I'm in Nairobi. Good. Taro Man, any news regarding DV 2022 in Ethiopia? The only news is that you need to understand it's over. There is, if you're a DV 22 winner in Ethiopia or any other country in the world, it's over. If you didn't get your DV lottery visa already by September 30th, 2022, then it's over. There's no point in thinking about that further. It's not going on anymore, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which country you're in. Just the rules of the program. You have to get your case processed and approved by September 30th, or you lose your chance. That's the simple fact of the matter. You're welcome, Bassem. Thanks for saying thanks. Okay. Let me see if I can just get a few more questions in. I'm DV25. Case number is 15200, and at my region visa bulletin is 22500. So you're from Africa. Is it possible for your case to be scheduled? Yes, it's possible. Well, is it possible for your case to be scheduled for interview before the end of January 25? Scheduled, yes, not having the interview. So the interviews that they schedule in January will be for March. They'll be March interviews, right? So if that's what you meant. But yes, you could possibly, depending on your embassy, depending on your DS-260, you could get a 2NL in January, but it will be for March interview, okay? Any news on JHB consultation South Africa? No, but you can go and have a look at the data. Case number is 50,517, Algeria. Do I have a chance? Yes. If you could give me as a percentage, and thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I can give you a precise percentage with a little bit of variance, right? Your chance of getting an interview is about 50% plus or minus 50. So that's anything from 0% to 100%. Could be any of those numbers. I don't know which. I love these percentage. Like, it's a very 0 and 1 thing. It's not really a percentage. You don't get 33% of an interview. You either get interviewed or you don't. So the idea of having percentage chances, etc., doesn't really make sense. But anyway, that's why I was being a bit facetious. Roberto, how are you? If I'm not mistaken, you said you were going to make a follow-up video for Europe with some corrections. Did I? Sorry if I remember wrong. Just to take away my hopes for EU 26K and Phillips. Just don't take away. Did I say corrections? No, the video I posted is my opinion. I don't think I'm going to make a follow-up video for it. At EU 26K, you're in good shape. Philip, I'm a bit worried about, right? Little bit worried about. I'm hoping Philip will be okay. I really want. I think Philip's at about 29,200 or so. I really want that number to go current. I really want Philip to get his chance. Although, if he doesn't, frankly, he could probably come here anyway if he wants to. But you're 26K, you should be fine. Bayot, for the upcoming VB, will everybody receive 2NL, or is there another filter, or some of us? Yeah, there is a filter. So, as I showed earlier, I showed an embassy which was current. The people there would have been current up to 22,500, but they've only taken cases up to about 16,000 something. That's backlogged. That's what happens, right? What it means is that they've had more people than they could handle. They did not set aside enough capacity to handle the cases that they should take, and therefore they became backlogged. I think that particular embassy that I showed can overcome that pretty easily. That was Liberia, the Monrovia embassy. But this this thing can happen of this backlog, right? So you can become current, but your DS-260 is not processed, therefore you won't be scheduled. Or you can become current and your embassy has got a backlog and you may not be scheduled, right? So yeah, those things, just because you could become current, it doesn't mean, as it used to mean, that you would be interviewed in that month. Things have changed a bit. Okay. Please, can you give your opinion on U.S. Embassy in Madagascar data? Can you have a look at it? Madagascar is a great movie, but I don't look at the embassy very much because it's a very small embassy. But you can go have a look at it. Hi, so I'm from Rwanda, but I apply for TV lottery in Kenya because I'm refugees for transgender. I just need to ask you, when I win Greencard, where can I take interview between my country, Rwanda, and Kenya? Wherever you live. Just wherever you live. Doesn't matter where you live, just wherever you live is where you should be taking your interview. Okay? AS 19,000 in Tokyo, Japan. Yeah, should have a chance. Winner Kids Worldwide Foundation, WICIF, snappy name there, says, I have a correction with my DS-260 on my interview day. Do I have to give my list of corrections to the consulate? I have to wait when asked from me. Depends what the correction is. If your correction is something important, like that you've realized you've got a name spelt wrong for one of your kids, then you want to be proactive about that in the interview. You want to bring that up yourself. If the correction you've got is that you lived at an address 15 years ago and it was 103 Anytown Street and you put it was 101 Anytown Street, don't bring that up, right? It's completely pointless anyway. I mean, don't even raise it. Unless the CO says to you, aha, we know that you did not live at 103 Anytown Street 15 years ago. And then you say, yeah, I've got proof here that I lived at 101, right? But that's not going to happen. That's a completely unrealistic thing. They don't care about little details like that, or the name of your school that you attended when you were a kid 30 years ago. Nobody gives a damn, right? A more important detail that it needs to be corrected because the visa would be printed with the wrong name, for example, yeah, you should bring that up yourself. Okay. Krista. Hello, Simon. Our visa was denied due to not meeting education. We're currently disputing this with the embassy email before said, as embassy email said, what? Disputing this as embassy email before said he did meet them. Oh, okay. Do you know of cases like this actually being looked into? So, Krista, there isn't a formal appeal process. The way it tends to work depends on the situation, but the way it tends to work is that the consular officer's opinion is normally very highly regarded and considered law kind of thing. You know, they are very rarely overturned by any sort of, action you take. It can happen. If they have been obviously incorrect, they've assessed your education documents incorrectly or whatever else, it can happen. But it really depends. I mean, the fact that the embassy says something before the interview has no weight, right? It's not up to whoever sent that email. They are not the decision maker, right? So that has no weight, and you can't hold that against the embassy. If the consular officer, once they were looking at the documents, decided your education didn't meet the requirements, then that might be final. I'd be interested, though, to hear why they said that, right? Was it that the education was vocational? Was it a matter of the grades you achieved, or your husband achieved, or your spouse? I'd be interested to hear why, and maybe I can help a little bit in explaining why the decision was made and saying whether I think it was an appropriate decision or not. Okay, so I'm probably about to end this live session, so probably you want to list that information for me at britsimonsays.com, and I'll answer the question there. Okay, all right, Krista. Nobody says, I asked you on your blog about TNSN embassy for EU 28K, Tunisia. Looks like over the past 10 years, Tunis was able to process cases up to the last VB. Is that something that makes you cautious this year? You're asking me about something that's going to happen 9 months from now. I don't have a crystal ball. You know, I don't know how to answer that. There's a lot of things that could happen between now and then. And so your guess is as good as mine. What you do know is that your case number is probably going to be in the last batch of cases to go current. It's probably, leaning towards the September interview. How Tunisia will behave in September is, I can't answer that at this point. All right. Latin America exists. It does exist. You're correct, but nobody from Latin America listens to me. So it's kind of frustrating, which annoys the hell out of me because I got family in Buenos Aires. I love South America, Latin America, love it. Anyway, I'll do a video for the numbers for Latin America, or South America. But yes, for some reason, I just don't seem to connect with people from that country, even though I speak a little Spanish, very badly, but I speak a little Spanish. So, I don't know. Que pena. Eh? Okay, let me just quickly scan down here. I'm scanning over the last questions. Harry, I thought you were going to answer my question. Let me down, man. I'm just scanning down to see. No, can't see. Oh, Harry, there you go. I knew you didn't let me down. I'm not a winner, but I'm UK born. I read an interesting post on Reddit breaking down the maths about UK winner this year. Try and find it for you. Yeah, I mean, I do the math, right? I mean, I've been doing this long enough that most people quote me. In fact, somebody sent me a screenshot from ChatGPT the other day, and it quotes a bunch of stuff that I know I've said. It doesn't actually quote it because you know how ChatGPT works. It kind of makes up its own hallucinations. But at the end of the ChatGPT article, it said, if you want more information, go to BritSimonSays.com. And I'm like, yeah, ChatGPT knows about little old me. Another funny story. I was arguing on a live with some people. I think it was yesterday. I've fallen down a rabbit hole of arguing with flat Earth fools. I don't know why I do it, but it kind of entertains me. And so I was talking to this guy, and at some point, this guy was just flummoxed by all of my answers, proving that the Earth is not flat. And I don't know if any of you think it's flat, but it's not flat. It's a globe. And this guy says, and this guy had nothing else to say. So he's like, well, who are you anyway? Like, you're not as important as me. He says, you can Google me, and I come up on Google. I'm like, yeah, you can Google me too, mate. It doesn't impress me. He goes, yeah, but I've got more followers than you. And so he shows me his YouTube with 1.3K 1.3K followers. I'm saying, yeah, Google me. 86,000 followers. It was a bad choice of yours to try and impress me with your silly number of followers. But anyway, it kind of made me chuckle. It made my day. So there you go. All right. So there's a little thing about my silly ego, but there you go. And if anyone wants to talk about flat Earth, please let me know. I'd love to hear. I mean, it's just cracking me up. All these people talking about flat Earth. It's just making me chuckle. All right, everybody. I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, please do ask them at BritSimonSays.com. I will answer them there for you. And as ever, I only want the best for all of you. So please do subscribe to my channel. Make sure you're getting the best information possible. And good luck with everything this year. All right, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.